Okay, let's see if everyone is here or not. And the most beautiful one? All right, there she is. She's putting the makeup on. Okay, right, so I touched upon the synergy subjects a little. The emergence. There is such a concept in physics when the sum of the individual parts of the system is not equal. Well, wait a second. Right. It's not equal to their individual indicators. That is, for example, if we take 100 units of no matter what, something that we took as 100 units after combining them together in one system will get 150. Although in terms of quantity it's 100. I don't remember the exact definition, but it's about, well, let's take a rope for instance. The tensile strength of its individual thread is 1. But if we put them together, when we combine them all together, it increases. Do you get it? That is, it becomes even stronger. This is called the emergence of the system. In general, this explains why we're stronger together, why we can do more when united rather than separately. Now it has been replaced by the buzzword synergy. Synergy, probably something like that. Maybe it's not a buzzword, but at least I get to hear it a lot. Now let's continue. Now you can ask some questions and I'll answer them, if there are any, although I have already been asked a few.
Can I ask you, just wondering, in practice, what kind of cases were the most complicated, apart from oncology? What kind of disease it was?
Well, I'm currently working with several people with HIV. The initial conflicts are established. That's fine. And I just requested from all 3 of them to go and get tested. I asked them to test the viral load to see the current condition. And imagine what? None of the 3 have done it so far. One of them immediately got cold, another one forgot something and disappeared. I don't remind them anymore. I understand what it is. You cannot lead someone who is not thirsty to a waterhole. 3 people and none of them went for a checkup. They don't know about one another. They have a feeling that, well, okay, why would I? They don't know that I already have 3 of them and none of them goes for a checkup.
Why is this happening?
This is called secondary gain. Each of them has so much tied to it. Relatives know about it and this and that, and due to this diagnosis they don't do something, or the opposite, they do something. Some of them have their lives tied to this, they earn on it. That is, they sell some therapies, medication. They have some resources to unite such people. How they can refuse? And in my face they say, yeah, okay. And then the body switches to the automatic mode. I cannot go, I got sick, I went somewhere else, I don't know. And so on. 3 people.
And they continue to take pills?
Not all of them. Not all of them. Someone has given up on therapy and not dying and everything is fine. It's just that in our country, in Russia, we're not talking about Indonesia. HIV cannot be denied. We have HIV dissidents. Well, not HIV dissidents itself, but the denial of HIV, as far as I'm concerned, is prosecuted in our country. Therefore, I won't talk about it any longer, but I'll just say that HIV is not as scary as it is described to us and to you.
And in terms of therapy, when a person has symptom, but it doesn't go away, it lingers for a long time.
No, there's no such thing. It simply means that I'm not his specialist. He was mistaken, we're sending him to someone else and everything will be fine there. Well, I haven't experienced such thing that the symptoms didn't disappear at all, no. I mean, even those people whose symptoms did not disappear came back to me again later. There are so many cases, just look at the reviews. During the last case, for instance, there was this girl with pain, vaginismus in short, with terrible pain during sex, and we worked with her. She paid me for 1 session, and since I like to work to get immediate results, I told myself I'd do it in 1 session. And so we worked with her for 6 months for the price of 1 session. For half an hour, for 15 minutes, 4 meetings in total. There you can check her review saying that it is possible to have sex without pain. At first we worked for 1 hour and a half hour and then 4 sessions of 15 minutes each. Well, probably that was the most difficult one. Basically, as we have touched upon the topic of physiology, How many experts recommend working through physiology? This is basically what we were taught in the Soviet Union. It doesn't matter what difference it makes, what you have in your life or in your head. You have a symptom in your body, remove it, undergo the chemical therapy, or go take a pill. They didn't teach us to correlate the fact that our psyche and everything that happens there is directly related to our body. We were not told that psyche and somatic are related. We were told, what, you feel bad? Do some more work. You feel sad? Do some more work. Bored? Go and do some work. That's what we've been taught. But in general, there is some truth to this. Some necessity, because work or any physical activity reduces the conflict's intensity. The conflict mass is disposed, but the strategy is not deactivated. There are many questions about the strategies and how to turn them off and with the help of what, and whether you need to retrain yourself. Now we'll talk about this a bit more. So very often doctors recommend sports and it really works, but it does not work completely. The body does not deactivate the strategy. Look, I come across a lion, I get scared. I have a strategy to react to a lion with fear. No matter how strong I am, next time I come across a lion, I'll run away again. Surely, physical exercises help me not to linger in this, but if I come across a lion again, the body will activate the same stress, and I certainly will run away. I mean, if you feel in a response to whatever you're advised to do it. Go to the gym, do some practice. Yoga is generally a unique tool for reducing the intensity, and for those who do it all the time, something is really deactivated. But again, no matter how sincerely I forgive this lion, when I come across it in a month, the body will react the same. From evolutionary psychology, we already know that there is a specific context and a specific reaction. And until a reaction is replaced, the body will continue to reproduce it whenever such situation arises. And if I would sit with a psychologist, we'll hug this lion, forgive it, kiss it all over, and tell him that he's a friend, and then I leave the psychologist feeling easy and feeling great. And then I come across a lion in a year, and how should the body react? It won't get up and say, "Oh, hello, my friend," because this is a danger. It will react the way it can. It will run away. And that's the whole point. As for everything else, use whatever is recommended to you. Often there are questions like, do you go to pharmacy? But damn well, of course I do. If I have a temperature, a healing phase, I feel uncomfortable with a temperature of 38. I just can't bear it. I feel bad. Of course I'll take a painkiller to reduce the fever. And I just know that the more I take it, the longer the healing phase will last. The body will still take whatever it needs. It will finalize the process. This explains why when you get sick and you don't take any pills, you just have a rest for a day or two and you feel better. You feel as if you were upgraded, like a software upgrade on a computer. You feel great. And as soon as you stuff yourself with antibiotics or something, you go to work shattered. And then they ask you, what's the matter with you? And you're like, yeah, I'm recovering from an illness. But the illness is not to blame here. You just didn't give the body enough time to rest while it's recovering from cold. That's why they say that children, and even pediatricians say so, and they're generally right, saying that a cold is for children. Their immune system is getting stronger as a result. Not only their immune system is getting stronger, but their adaptation to external conditions is vastly improved. Imagine that a child lives at home, he has his own toys, his own room, and suddenly he's taken to some institution, so to speak, and there are a bunch of little people like him. Everyone is sharing everything, taking away things and toys. Now he needs to share a space with others and get used to different noises. What is the child experiencing? Stress. The child is stressed. His body begins to adapt to new changing conditions. He comes home from this stressful environment, and what will be activated? The healing process, a runny nose, maybe a cough. What will mom say? There you are, and so on. And the child is just adapting, just give him some rest. But if this happens often, of course, it should be resolved. In that case, most likely, work should be done with child's mother and not the child. But a conversation with the child would also be very helpful. Ask him, what do you feel, rather than what do you dislike about kindergarten. Teach everyone to talk about their feelings. There is no need to talk about the situation itself. Ask him, how do you feel in this situation? The body will release the emotion. It won't be biologized anymore and it won't be stuck inside. But we'll talk about this a bit later also. This is what I said about how to discharge and how not to get sick. Well, you have to get yourself in these states, of course.
I wanted to ask, all this information on self-diagnosis, why you have this or that disease, old books, Louisa Hay,
Well, you see, when your emotions are like this, all books about Louisa Hay.
they kind of say that.
Yeah, I understand.
I kind of started to dig into this trouble.
Yes, they say that it happened because you have a grudge against your relative. Damn, but what kind of grudge? Why did you get offended? Why? When did it happen?
Yes, in fact, it turns out that you cannot solve this problem on your own without someone watching from outside.
Well, this system here, when it becomes our natural science, and it will, we've already begun to hear it. Everyone here is interested in it. We will learn to realize it ourselves and quickly. At the moment, you and I are at a stage when we just begin to take our first steps into this, the very first step. It is difficult without a specialist so far. If you have already realized, then of course you need to get acquainted with the system and understand what comes from what. Well, you need to know what happens in which organ, what kind of process is in progress, and I mean, is it ulceration or is it tumor, in order to realize what happened. Of course, the body always answers these questions. If you ask yourself what is it connected to, whatever pops up or comes in your mind will be the answer. But the thing is that sometimes we're so full of activated feelings that we cannot even realize it. It inhibits us from going there. That's why a specialist is needed. Most of the diseases are already initiated in childhood. It's just that the intensity is not so high in childhood, and it does not manifest itself symptomatically. As we age, we add more intensity here and the symptoms begin to come out. And when we resolve the last situation, it will feel easier as the symptom has already decreased a little, but it will not disappear completely. It's necessary to dig into childhood, and in childhood everything is buried so deeply already that you need a professional assistance. Of course, if you have developed yourself enough, then you can realize childhood as well. I consider myself an advanced person in this field, but I still constantly seek help from my colleagues. Just a couple of times a month, maybe a couple of times a week, do it as often as you can. It's not necessary to go to Anton Antonov or Mikhail Filaev. Just make sure that these specialists know what they actually do, because when you go to a psychologist with a diagnosis, you can only accidentally resolve the initial cause, but the psychologist doesn't know where to dig into. When a person comes to me with a tumor or with asthma, I know the context. I know what is going on in his body, and I begin to look for these particular situations in different age periods. And I drag out corresponding situations because clients' request referred to asthma. A psychologist would dig into emotion only, not knowing that it relates to asthma. Psychologists, they're cool, they're totally great. But if your request refers to some diagnosis, it's better to apply to a competent psychosomatic therapist in the first place. Psychologists are also needed. I myself had a meeting here with Daria Milai just the other day, and I liked her very much. Any other questions?
And what is allergy?
Allergy is always a separation conflict. This is the simplest diagnosis which is resolved after the seminars. One girl had been allergic to the sun for several years, and she was not able to get out of it. I dragged her on the stage and she didn't open up completely, and I said, okay, move on. I told her to move on because she was not ready yet. And after a while, I had a response from her, that's it, I don't have it anymore, everything is gone. I just explained to her what it was all about. This refers to the ectoderm, there are the territorial conflicts. Now we'll quickly touch upon these terms. This is a territorial conflict, and the areas where we have this embryonic germ layer react to this. This is our epidermis, the top layer. I am my territory. Well, there's also a territory in the office or a house or anywhere. But allergies always refer to separation conflicts if it's an allergy in particular. And the allergens, the things that we call allergens, these are the tracks I talked about earlier. These are the reminders for the body about a dangerous situation. You'll find out that it was present in your situation connected to the separation. The sun was shining, you were eating nuts, drinking milk, and so on. If the allergy is from childhood, then it belongs to mother. She was drinking milk, parted with someone or something, and it was stressful for her. She felt it inside but did not show it outside. It belongs to mother. It's also very easy to dig into. Always ask yourself. Now, for example, if you're allergic to nuts, ask yourself, Have I parted with someone while eating nuts? In 80% of cases, you'll remember this right away. When you ask a question, leave it there and go on with your life, and then suddenly the answer will come. If the situation was very traumatic and I ask people where it happened, who did you get separated from? When someone tells me I have an allergy, I say even without going into a therapy session, just tell me where it happened and who you parted with. And it turns out that that situation only lasted for a fleeting moment, but the body was stressed. That was important for the body for some reason. Maybe you didn't plan to live or to have children with this person, but for some reason this person was biologically important for the body. And maybe you retreated into yourself a little but didn't pay attention to it because we were not taught to pay attention to our feelings. Only now we start to get in touch with our emotions. Different practices teach us, feel, identify your emotions. And psychosomatics works 60% through feelings and emotions. So a person does not remember this. And when she remembers, she explains, "Oh, that's it. I was eating nuts when I met him in Turkey. We slept together, we went on a date, went to a theme park, and then he said that his feeling faded. And I couldn't even think that that was the reason." This is one of the real cases. Just one. Because for some reason so many breakups have happened in Turkey. And by the way, Egypt is in a second place. Okay, I understand why. Because at that time, those were the fashionable countries and popular resort destinations. Yes, now it's Bali. In 5 years, I'll be resolving separation situations in Bali.
And what is the minimum interval between the active and healing phase?
Well, there's no interval at all. You enter the following phase immediately.
Well, sometimes it happens that it takes a long time, when the stress is simply over and the phase begins. That is 2 or 3 days difference.
Yes, a healing process is activated right away, but the stress is coming. You mean what interval? This spot right here you are still under stress and here you already begin to recover. But the symptoms don't pop in such a way that you're going and then bam, temperature. No, it takes a long time for the process to begin. The body is also being prepared. You understand that everything that you know about diagnosis, it's not a disease. It's a biological adaptation of the body to changing conditions that you cannot accept or understand. This is a biological adaptation of the body. It has always lived like this in nature. But why don't animals suffer from chronic diseases? Who can guess? Why don't wild animals get chronic diseases? Because they don't linger in it. Something happens to an animal here, on its territory. It doesn't matter what, it either begins to fight or leaves the territory, escapes. And stress is relieved. That's it. The program runs in a single instance. The tissue is strengthened in that area. For example, if it's in the bone, then it's the restitution on the bone. We'll get to that now. With what you got sick and recovered, guys, it means you evolved in this very much. If it comes back to you, it means that the program was not completed here in your head. Because if you get sick and evolved in this, it will never return. No longer return.
And what about children's allergies?
It belongs to a mother. Until the age of 3, it always comes from a mother. Even until the age of 4 or maybe 5. Dig into a mom's situations immediately. Until the age of 3, a child depends on the feelings of his mother. I already told you this.
But can he resolve this?
By himself? How? At the age of 3 or 4?
Well, in the sense that a person has an allergy from birth, can he resolve the program in himself?
Of course. So didn't you see the regression I performed earlier? It's the same. The body knows everything. Everything that happened to you is recorded, just recorded in the genes. We have learned to drag it to the level of feelings, and it's always possible to verbalize feelings.
And what about the nature of coughing?
The nature of coughing? Well, there are several reasons. This is right here. We'll talk about the bronchi now. Many of you will get the answers.
Can I ask a question? It may not be very...
Come on, without an introduction. It's always like that with you.
Jacques Fresco said that he found a cancer in a rabbit.
A single program is run, and this is natural. Everyone has it. It's just a biological response. And if a rabbit is very afraid of death and cannot do anything about it, the body will activate lung tumor. It will run away or be devoured. It ran away, the program is deactivated, and its body will be healed. And as I said, wild animals are not prone to chronic diseases. Only pets are. And who can guess why pets get sick? From the owners. Absolutely right. When I just started my practice, I had several clients whose animals had brittle bones. Several people. And it was always the same. As soon as we removed the situation of self-devaluation from the owner, the animal started to jump around and it didn't break anything. A dog with an upset stomach. Same thing, it had something there, was taken to doctors, given injections, and then we removed the indigestible things from the owner's head, the situation which she cannot accept here, and the body biologically perceives as a morsel. She tries to digest it, increasing acidity. Oliogastritis refers to this, stomach cancer refers to this, indigestible morsel or territorial conflict. Indigestible morsels, when a person cannot accept the situation, he can neither let it go or talk about it. Disloyalty, murder, I've come across a lot of things in practice, actually. We'll just have to edit and cut this part out, otherwise they'll ask me and ask who I counsel there. The body perceives it, it simply begins to help you biologically, it's just helping. There you go, I'll digest it now. But when it's a relapse, a process begins which we call pathological. There is psychological, there is pathological. There are doctors here, doctor is having a rest somewhere in the back, well, okay. Anyway, who else wanted to ask a question? Yes, this is what we'll get to after the questions.
What about blood and bone marrow?
By the way, you just aptly mentioned the bone marrow. This is the strongest conflict of this germ layer. Wow, how cool you are, and I like you all. I mean it. Very cool questions, you're all great. When you sit in the back, the information doesn't reach there so well, but I'm glad that you're all here. Seriously, in the front rows, everything is great.
And what about the spine?
Right now we'll get to the next step. I know that we're all young here, but the musculoskeletal system does not function so perfectly already, does it? And the doctors say, well, illnesses are getting younger, you're not active enough, and so on. That's how I'm getting another conflict. It seems that I'm not active enough, I'm old now. And what am I getting? Another stress. There are a bunch of such problems all coexisting in us at the same time. You're stressed out because of so many things, aren't you? The wife is saying something there is not enough money, the job is not appropriate, I'm too hot, there is this neighbor, there is the car, there is the police, there is Putin, But that's the way it works. You're constantly in something stressful, but just the intensity is low. A disease, it's a point when it's already like this, when it is too much to tolerate. As I said, I was diagnosed with more than 15 diseases and hemorrhoids and gastritis and cholecystitis, a cyst in the kidney, my heart was, apnea. In short, they predicted an artificial stimulant there. What else was there? A whole bunch. Prostatitis, I already mentioned, didn't I? Psoriasis, I was covered all over. And it all depended on intensity. And as soon as I started working with psychologists, even though I hadn't known about psychosomatics yet, I began to notice that it all reduced. There still was pain, I felt bad, but less, and I began to notice that it depended on my mental state. Yes, it did not disappear completely. I still went to hospitals, did some therapy, and so on. Well, that was enough for 6 months or maybe a year. Ask me a question.
Does a cell have a memory?
A cell? And where do you think is our DNA? The DNA molecule in every cell. There is nucleic acid in every cell. We're not going to dive into the subject, okay? So what's the question?
Well, the question is that you work through?
Of course, the structure is recorded in the DNA. Everything that you're hearing right now, everything that changes your feelings or attitude towards something, everything is being recorded 24/7, guys. You're all connected 24/7. We'll do some tricks in the end. Let's try and work with as many of you as possible. We'll see all the tricks, we'll see the magic. Maybe somebody's eyesight. By the way, is there anyone with eyesight problems? We'll try to recover somebody's eyesight so that you exclaim, wow, I literally love it when I change the worldview. But it's not me, it's information that changes. I'm just a messenger, so to speak, who spreads this virus. Information is the most serious virus, guys. And you have a choice with what to infect others, with what kind of information. Just filter. Filter. More questions? Go on.
About eyesight, can you resolve some kind of person has loss of sight, for example, the eye died completely, retinal necrosis?
Rapidly?
Well, within 2 months.
Cataract? Well, cataract does not happen so rapidly.
Well, retina. That's it. The eye is dead. The right eye is healthy.
Retina. Okay, but retina, what is it? Lens, retina. I don't remember what kind of tissue it is, retina. But you always look at the function and understand either I want to see something and cannot, or I don't want to do something but I still do see it. And the body inhibits you from seeing. In case of cataracts is that I don't see the future. In this case it can be, I think retina is ectoderm layer, I don't remember. It's just that when people come to me with eyesight problems, I don't have to give them all this information, I don't use it myself. I know the function of the organ and I know whether it's hypo or hyper. That is, either increased or decreased. That is, for example, a thyroid gland, the one that is in the endoderm. If a person has a hypothyroidism, why do we need thyroxine? It speeds up the body. If there is thyrotoxicosis, then a person is not fast enough. It means that a person is stressed because he thinks he doesn't have enough time for something. During the session, I work through it all in a circle, and secondary gain and so on, because, for instance, an unresolved secondary gain does not let the symptom go away. That is, you can work through everything, deactivate all the strategies, but if the secondary gain is not deactivated, the body will not shut it off. We're all social beings and we need a flock. We all need people. An old man went to bed with paralysis. The whole family arrived, right? Will his body shut the symptom off? Of course not, because he knows that everyone will eventually leave, he'll be left alone, and being alone means death. Moreover, it's biologically programmed so. Any fear you have finally leads to what kind of fear? Fear of death, indeed. Before that, there is feeling of being alone and not being able to reproduce, but they always lead to fear of death. If any of you come here, we'll find some stress and I'll start by asking questions like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And in the end, we'll always find the following answer: I'll die. Well, in such cases, we say, well, go on, die. Just die for 1 minute. And a person immediately feels relaxed. So there's nothing scary about death, guys, and for the soul or for the psyche. As a man of science, I will say for the psyche. But it is the same thing as soul. The idea of death is non-existent for the psyche. During the therapy, there is no problem for the soul to die, to be born again, no problem. This means that maybe this energy does not fly anywhere, it's here. We're all in this shell, we all live in this energy. In reality, something else controls us from within, and perhaps it is leading us along a certain path, because all of the other 80% I find in parents. But this some kind of a particular mission comes from somewhere else. It seems like the earth is alive and it needs us for something, like our body needs leukocytes, and everyone else accomplishes something for it. And this program is installed by it, the one that we must carry out. And maybe I'm carrying out this program to inform people that everything works this way and all diseases refer to this. I believe, as I see it, this is my mission, it comes from somewhere within.
I have a question about death. The fact that you don't treat yourself with pills, which of course is fatal in 80% of cases, the fact that you are superhuman, who is able to heal himself with the help of psychological programs, right? Will this delay a person's death?
To my mind, no. It seems to me like death, well, I don't know. It's just that there are people for whom there is natural selection. Those who have to depart this life, he comes to therapy, we communicate, he feels better and he says, yes, I understood everything, and he leaves and disappears. And then I find out that after a year or two he passed away and didn't do anything. It looks like his body has stopped. You have to leave. Maybe, I don't assure you, I'm not God, I can't answer this question, but I have a feeling the deadline is predetermined, although perhaps this is my blueprint. Because it is convenient to think that way for some reason. Well, it's convenient for me because it speeds me up. I have some kind of a number, I don't know where it comes from. I've dug into this like 300 times, that I'll pass away at the age of 50. The most interesting thing is that in my family, everyone departed this life at the age of 50, 51, 54, 55, and there is oncology everywhere. And here, the lifeline on my hand, as they describe it to me, I have something terrible awaiting me in my 50s, some kind of a disease or something. It is unclear I'll survive or not, but we know that there is psychogenetics, and if the family survived with the help of this as a result of someone passing away, this will be passed on to generations. For example, a father assaulted a mother and then died at the age of 50, and as a result of this, mother evolved even better. Then nature will continue this in the future. This is how I see it. such information is passed on, which is potentially suitable for the survival of species. Death is important only to us, only for humans. Death is scary. For nature, it's neither good or bad. For nature, there is a concept of uncomfortable, which means that there is a stress. That's it. More questions?
I wanted to ask about crossed eyes.
Well, a person does not want to see something. We'll look at which eye does not align properly. I don't remember what the exact context is, but it also is related to the function of the organ. I remember there was a man with a little girl. We found out that one of her eyes was badly misaligned. We found out that she had conflicts that initiated in the womb. Parents were arguing, then mother wanted to go somewhere just to escape the situation. We removed this conflict and of course she wore glasses, but very quickly her eye was aligned properly again. I think it took something from 8 months to a year. But we found out that mother wanted to go somewhere in any direction and just to run away somewhere. And consequently a child started to look in the same direction because her mother looked to the side. Everything that a mother feels is an a priori truth for a child. That is, if it's like that out there, I have to be adapted to that. Can you imagine what a baby's body does? How it changes psychologically if a mother thinks that something's wrong with it? Well, it adapts to that as well. Its world says that up there you have to be like this. Its world is stressed by the fact that something is wrong and something works this way and it's necessary to adapt to this. Naturally, a child is born with some kind of abnormality or pathology. This relates to that when people recommend, well, think positive and everything will be great, stop negative thoughts. Well, yes and no. It's just that thought is not primary, feeling is primary. Forget about your thoughts. This explains why you wish not to think about bad things, but sometimes it just doesn't work, because feeling is primary, and if the body has activated some kind of feeling, it means that it senses a threat to survival. Therefore, it is stressed, and it will not shut down the negative thinking. That's why they explain that when you go somewhere, you are relieved, because the reminders are no more present for the body. Change your place of residence, go and have some rest, and so on. People go on holiday, all illnesses disappear. They return to their homeland and it begins again. Well, doesn't it explain the theory of reminders or tracks? Is there another question?
There was such a story with my ears. When I arrived here, my ears were clogged for a long time.
Clogged? That is already a healing phase.
And then after a while, it passed. Literally 2 weeks later, I had a viral infection in my ears.
A viral infection? Okay, I'll repeat. This is a healing phase. You arrived. Your body released certain microbes to work in order to get rid of some unnecessary tissue. All these bacteria were already in your body in small quantities. The body activates them so that you can escape. You did not want to hear something or wanted to hear something, but you couldn't. And that something is very important to you for your safety. Mum's voice, for example. There was one of my comrades who had a massive earache. What did you want to hear but couldn't? I asked because I saw it was the right ear. And he said to me, I had been expecting a call from a supplier for 3 days and this moron wouldn't call me. If you interpret the function of the organ, you'll understand what's happening. What's hearing for? To hear something safe or to hear something dangerous and to avoid it. Everything is aimed at one purpose, survival. For him as a restaurant owner, the supplier was very important because what is it tied to? Money, survival. In his case, his body activated, hear it. He wanted to hear a call and the body helps, there, I hear it. And when the call is heard, an earache begins, those viruses come out in order to heal everything. And he goes to the hospital and he will be told, well, you have an infection. But what kind of infection, guys?
The same thing here?
The same thing, exactly. In your case, it's the left ear, to avoid danger, to hear something dangerous. Have a look, you are reacting to something, the body nodded. The body always knows what we're talking about. It always feels and it always understands, even when we speak with some incomprehensible words. It's so unique. And what do they tell us on TV? You're all weak, you're all sick, diseases are getting younger. They just state the fact. The fact that they don't understand where it's coming from. You don't blame anyone. Of course, nobody is to blame for anything. But this is how we evolve. In the context of all humanity, this is a normal movement. In the context of one life, emotions are unpleasant, not good. Well, indeed. Damn, sometimes it's probably even good giving yourself for the good of humanity, but I won't do it.
Tell us, please, how do you remove the program?
How? Well, you saw it. From what I demonstrated, I already showed you several tools.
Acceptance. Well, the girl with pimples.
Cool. Acceptance is the perfect tool. Everywhere you are told and every practice tells you accept yourself. And I always ask myself a question, what kind of me should I accept? Whom to accept? What to accept? I'm ready. Accept yourself. Well, here I am. I accepted myself. I have knees, pants, nipples, elbows.
Accepting that she is not pretty.
She couldn't even remember that it happened. Didn't you see how difficult it was to remember? There was nothing there. No one said anything because it was scary.
She simply realized it.
Or simply realized it. I love it when you use the word simply. Just like that. Everything is simple. Everything and everything and everything. Okay, now, come here. Come on, come on.
I'm simply interested.
Of course you are. Stand here.
I simply have the same problem.
Simply, yes.
I'm very strong and I cannot...
Yes. By the way, do you want me to show you something else while the rabbit is here? I'm kidding. Someone here today who told me downstairs earlier that he saw some kinesiology or psychokinesiology which I use. Already swallowing. Have a look. Shall we do something or shall we demonstrate something? Are you in a relationship?
I got divorced.
And she's nodding. Look, I got divorced and a smile appears immediately. See, she loved it. Evolved in something right away. Yeah, okay, so now I'll go over there. Now can you walk in that direction and return? The way you feel now and here, a divorcee. Look at her, a little divorcee. Walk, walk, just keep on walking. And now come back. What is she like, guys? I would say heavy. Literally heavy. Okay, it's just about the state. Come on, now you have lots of money and a new husband, a great one. Walk that way. Go. Come on, and now come back. Interesting, isn't it? She has sped up a bit, but the heaviness remained. I think it has even intensified. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
Left-handed? Look, the left shoulder or shoulder blade is responsive for conflicts with the partner. Left side for left-handed people. In case of right-handedness, right side. I'm a bad partner. Actually, it explains why she became even heavier on this side when I told her you have a new relationship. It seemed that she walked faster, but the walk became heavier. Why are you such a bad partner? I don't understand.
Well...
And she's nodding. Who sees that? She says, well, and the body starts nodding right away. She has this conflict. For me, as a specialist, finding is no longer a problem. Well, I just know the localization. What is it? How do you live with all this?
It's hard.
Yes, and the mucous membrane thickens, right?
It began after that and doesn't go away.
Yes, but what happened there? There, stop. What did you see there now? That one, stop.
For some reason, I'm an adult there, but I saw some children.
What children? What kind of children are there?
I don't know.
What happened there?
Unrealized children. Didn't happen.
Unrealized. Now, listen, and when you are unrealized, what are you like? Describe in one word.
Well, worthless.
And when you're worthless, what are you like?
Unwanted.
And when you are unwanted, what are you like? Another word. And when you are unwanted, what are you like?
Well, as if weakness.
Weak. And when you are weak, what are you like?
As if lifeless.
Yes. And when you are lifeless, what are you like? Will you allow yourself to be dead for a minute? Just 1 minute. Come on, die for a minute. And she inhaled. She has allowed. I thought that we would find not pretty, but she has something else. Why face, in particular?
Face?
Yes, what comes to your mind? Come on. Any words?
There was a betrayal.
A betrayal. And when?
For me, beauty is important, still have to work through.
Do you hear her voice trembling?
They always say that I'm beautiful, sexy and so on, but I need to hear about the soul. I want them to acknowledge not only the appearance, but also what's inside.
Yes, when they value only the appearance, disregarding your soul, what are you like, in one word?
Well, I don't know. The rapper is not interesting to me.
What are you like when they only value the wrapper?
Underestimated?
Yes, but she is smiling when she says underestimated. When a person is smiling, it means that the body needs this particular experience. And when they say, everything is so terrible in my life, you have such friends, don't you? So why are you smiling then? And his reply is, well, this is a defensive reaction. This is not a defensive reaction. The body discharges a little. It feels normal for the body because there's nothing unnecessary for the body. Everything that happens is necessary for evolution. Moreover, it's necessary for the internal, universal human evolution. Look, now I am you, but I am valued for my inner world and for my appearance too. I am you, and I am appreciated for everything. I am valued, I'm coming to you, and I'll become you.
I'm scared for some reason.
Well, look, she's scared. Well, do you understand? She wants to be like that, but the body doesn't let her go there. If we start to dig in this whole topic, we'll find out that something had happened. Maybe somewhere somebody's inner world was evaluated, and as a result, something terrible happened, and the body recorded that it's prohibited to go there. Perhaps it comes from her mother, perhaps it's hers. We just don't have much time for this now. Everything is tied to something. So I am you and I'm acknowledged. How does it feel here?
It hurts.
Yes. How old are you now? Just listen.
30.
30. Now come on, you are you and you are 30, 29, 28, 26, 20. Does it hurt?
It disappeared and then it began to hurt again.
19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12.
Better already.
Yep, and I got goosebumps. Well, does it hurt now, even a little?
Yes, a little bit.
All right, 11, 10, 9, 8. Oh.
It rises up.
Yes, I can see you're already shaking. And now you're 6, 5.
Well, it comes and goes for some reason.
Well, now you are 4 years old.
Right here.
What's there?
Well, it's hard to breathe.
You're 3.
More peaceful?
Yes, and now you're 4, 3, 2, 1. Just don't fall. You're 1 month old. You're 1 day old and you were just born. How it is in your chest?
Well, I still feel it.
Yes, and now you are in your mom's belly and you're 5 months old. You are in your mom's belly and you are 1 month old. And now you are in your mom's belly and you're 1 day old. You were just conceived and no one knows about you yet.
It rose up here.
Yes, and now you are your mother a month before pregnancy. You are your mother and you are 15 years old. You are your mother and you are 1 year old. All right, okay. And now you are in your mom's belly and you are 1 day old and you were just conceived. And I, Anton Antonov, appear then and there before you and inform you that you'll soon appear in the womb of one charming lady and something will be happening with her. You won't take these feelings from her, you'll leave them to her. And I also tell you that to be underestimated means to be happy. And if you're not acknowledged, then there will be lots and lots and absolute lots of money. Yes, there will be very beautiful kids. And in general, everything will be cool. And I also tell you that I've seen you when you're 35 and you have absolutely everything that you wished for.
I love you already.
Yes, and with this knowledge you are here and now. You are here and now. And now I am you and I'm acknowledged. I'm coming to you.
There is no fear.
There is no fear and her mouth is open. She is relaxed. Let's applaud her. Listen, you're very cool. Well done. Give me a hug.
Thank you.
But you understand, don't you? I am underestimated and I'm losing my face. I didn't find it now. I wanted to show you this specifically. But the point is, I am underestimated and I'm losing my face. There was some kind of a situation where this feeling disappeared and she spoke less. Somewhere she was stressed because I'm not valued, I'm not good enough, I'm underestimated. But the body perceives everything literally, it perceives as it's losing face. Who has pimples on their back? What's behind your back there? Some kind of feeling that something is stored in your back. Or something is said behind your back? Maybe it happens always, the body protects the back, and there's a feeling that something is said behind your back, or in the back. Sometimes it's really happening, but sometimes you're just afraid that something is going on there. And what does your body do? It thickens the dermis on the back. You have inflammation. I said it earlier that there were several women at the seminars who had affairs in workplaces. It was 3 of them, or 4 already? No, 3. They all had a feeling that they were talking about it in the office behind their backs, that she's seeing someone there.
And what to do?
Say yes to that. Say, yes, I am seeing someone. Go to the office, climb on a table and say, yes, I am seeing someone.
What to do with the fact that you care about what others are saying?
Sleep with your husband. Yes, well, I'm kidding.
That is, we always need to accept this and say yes?
Yes, if you're aware of it, now how could she realize it? Who was asking about this? So you were asking about realizing. How would you realize all this now? Well, by yourself. I mean, how would you realize it? I just know this is impossible. How am I going to get this out of me? How can I find the whole strategy that my mom had? And accordingly, so did everyone else.
Anton, why do you say that it's impossible by yourself? You can ask yourself such questions.
Well, ask them then.
Well, for example, what am I like? Well, same as you asked.
Well, the brain will be distracted and the brain won't let you. The brain is deceiving.
Deceiving?
At my sessions, people sit down, but sometimes it happens that I have to hold them still. They begin to drink water, take a mug, and do such kind of things. The body does everything to defend itself, retreat, to be distracted. And I can see it in the eyes that the person is listening, and suddenly he is distracted. Huh? What? What were you saying? What? Perhaps my uniqueness is that I have internal aggression, and when I start using it, people immediately wake up and start listening to me. I used to think that it is my flaw, my aggression, straightforward like this. But now I see that it really helps me during therapy sessions. Sometimes I really grab onto someone. I know that sometimes it might not look very considerate. In general, psychosomatics is not very considerate. Didn't you hear what kind of things I try to inculcate? There will be lots of money. But is there time to be sensitive when a person has a tumor? Who cares what I tell them? What difference does it make if the end result is that we'll remove the tumor? There are some guys who attended the seminars and they told me, you're not considerate, we don't want to listen to you. I said, listen, if you work with snots, then go on. I work with people with serious diseases very often. And the issue of being sensitive is no longer on the agenda. And if I don't know what else to do, I'll inculcate any kind of idea. Even of Armageddon, if that helps a person. Again, they instill this in us. We're all so strong and we can strongly influence something with our thoughts. But do not forget that there are also thoughts of other people. And how will you change anything there? All right. Measuring my pulse. I drank coffee. Mesoderm. Look, mesoderm. The new mesoderm layer. What it's about? Our parenchyma and musculoskeletal system, including our lymphatic system, were developed from there. And our bone marrow, of course. Who was that who asked about the bone marrow?
I did. I have a nuance though.
You have a nuance. Do you have bone marrow?
Yes, I do.
Well, okay. Well, everyone has nuances, don't worry. So, with this tissue, we react to all conflicts which are called self-devaluation conflicts. And what does it mean? I'm not the way I should be. I'm doing something wrong, I'm just not good enough. I don't understand something, and so on. That is, according to the localization, based on the area it happens, we can identify in what context a person devalues himself. Who has some pain related to the musculoskeletal system?
Migraine?
A migraine is already a healing phase, the frontal fear. That is what it's all about. Migraine refers to this. Or to the frontal fear. Fear is right in front of me. And what part of your head you've got pain? In the back?
Well, here. I don't know where.
Frontal fear. Now, I won't tell you what exactly because it's necessary to dig into it. But when it hurts in the back of the head, then it's frontal fear. Danger is in front of me. Think about what you can react to like that. You saw something now. The image that flashed through your mind, this is where you have to dig. And look, she inhaled immediately and she relaxed. God, I love these squeak therapies. What hurts?
The neck is lower, where the shoulder blades are, a little higher.
Yes, in short, that's the cervical spine. Intellectual self-devaluation. The skull bones, shoulders and neck refer to intellectual self-devaluation. Why do young people often have neck pain nowadays? Of course, if before I used to compare myself only with coworkers, now I open Instagram and everyone is so successful there. Everybody has lots of money. I don't know whether it's credit or borrowed. I know nothing about it. And they keep on telling me I'm cool, I earn money and come with me. But I can't follow them because my body is not designed for it. It's not cut out for that. And I start devaluing myself. Damn, I'm not like that. I can't build into an LL structure, build a whole bunch, referral system. I just can't fix it. I'm a fool. And it begins to hit in the neck. Intellectual self-devaluation. It applies to everything in general. I am bad-mannered, I am uneducated, I am not smart enough, I'm not erudite enough, and so on. All kinds of situations. It's just this tissue has one characteristic. It's highly accumulative. Alright, I need to slow down a little, otherwise I won't catch my breath. It's accumulative. That is, in these small situations, ulceration increases here. So what happens in the conflict active phase? Ulceration. There is ulceration in the cartilage in joints. As a result of slight self-devaluation, cartilage in joints ulcerate. In the healing phase, swelling occurs there, because everything in the body is healed by swelling or inflammation. Right. Now I'll breathe a little more because I've had a coffee. My heart is pounding.
And what about external injuries? I recently burned my ankle against a bike. It's not from the inside, it's external. Did I try to solve myself down somehow or what?
An ankle against a bike. If it happened once, well, I can't tell you here what kind of a tension you have there, but almost all injuries occur in that part of the body where you have tension. That is, the part which the body does not feel, because in the cold phase we don't feel anything. In the stress phase, the ulceration doesn't hurt. If I, for instance, devalue myself in the sense that I cannot go somewhere, I want to go but I cannot, then the active phase occurs in my legs, and I have mild numbness there. But I don't even feel that. This is devaluation.
And if the joints hurts? Joints.
If it's knees, then it's a conflict of not being sporty. I'm not athletic enough or something. I'm just not athletic enough at all. I recently had a session with a girl. She is an athlete, and of course she has this thing that we are not good enough and this and that. But earlier there was not enough intensity for her to feel the symptoms already. Then she grows up, she needs to get married, and she feels that she can't keep up. Well, she's not getting married. Goes on a date with one man and then another one, and what do her parents say? Come on, hurry up. Come on and hurry up. The feeling of not being sporty enough is increasing here. I'm not catching up. I'm not good enough to make it. And this is called a conflict of not being sporty. The pain in the musculoskeletal system indicates a conflict active phase. The musculoskeletal system hurts in the active phase if you are currently in this situation, as we have now removed this in case of Regina. It means that she was under the stress at this given moment. We remove the stress and the pain goes away.
And arthrosis?
Same. Everything refers to self-devaluation.
If, for example, you remembered that during your life you had some kind of injuries, some kind of inflammation, and they have passed and have not bothered you anymore for many years, does it mean that you
have grown, you have evolved just inside. That's why all the diseases are given to us. All kinds of practices tell us this happens for you to grow. In fact, this is very true. But we, as biologists, know that this is for evolution, for both, for the physiological and for mental. That doesn't mean that some kind of energy has grown inside of you. You yourself have realized what you did wrong, figuratively speaking, or the body has realized that some things are no longer needed for the current conditions. It does not need the self-devaluation in order to avoid some kind of a danger. We get something. Because of our illness, we always get something. And this is called a secondary gain. So, the self-devaluation, which is not strong enough, will hit the lymphatic system. A lymph node will come out of the body part. Stronger self-devaluation will affect the cartilage and joints. Bones become brittle. And in the active phase, they ulcerate. That's why fractures happen. Everything seemed to be fine. 1 minute I was walking and then I stumbled and my leg broke. Why? Because there was ulceration already in progress. And why do old people have brittle bones? Why do old people have very strong pain in the musculoskeletal system? Of course, I'm already old, I can't do anything. I can't have any influence on the government, on the city council, on the neighbors or anything else. I'm old and I devalue myself. Again, we are looking at localization. For example, if the femur, now I can't endure it, I can't handle it and I can't bear it. Hip joint, I cannot control something or someone. Spine and the lumbar area, a generalized self-devaluation. Cervical spine, an intellectual self-devaluation. Hands, well, this is very simple. Look at the function. I can't hold something, I can't grab something. And when you talk to a person in this context, you'll find out what is wrong. In what way he devalues himself, what cannot he hold on to. Maybe it's his children, his pension, maybe something else. I don't know. It can be really anything.
Hair loss and low ferritin.
Iron deficiency, anemia. Self-devaluation related to the family clan. Something is happening in family relationships. Well, for instance, my mother doesn't love me, my mother betrays me, and so on. Again, this is from my experience, but the theory also tells about it. Self-devaluation related to the family clan. Hair loss. Why did we need hair in nature? To attract the opposite sex. And if I cannot attract anyone, then I'm not sexy. Nature does not really need me. That is, the function is not executed and it's not needed, it starts to go away. There are specific situations in which you have felt that you were abandoned, someone else was chosen over you, and so on. Hair starts to fall out. I've had many clients with hair loss problems, and by the way, there were different cases as well because I was digging into them a lot. This is self-devaluation, but it is healing already. Blood vessels also suffer from self-devaluation. It turns out that cholesterol heals the blood vessels. It's just the medicine tells us something else. But if you are in relapses, you go up and down, it is produced here in order to heal, and you're back in the active phase and it remains. The thing is that our body is not adapted to ongoing situation and it tries to adapt. Imagine we have lived in the wild for 400 million years and somehow we managed to solve any kind of stressful situations. And now we aren't able to solve them here because we can't quit the job and we can't leave our husband. If an animal, a monkey, does not like this male, she goes on to another. We can't do this, can we? In our cases, marriages are made in the sky, aren't they?
I'm all about the bone marrow again.
Bone marrow. This is the situation of the most severe self-devaluation. Generalized, the most severe, it hits the bone marrow, leukemia or blood cancer.
Yes, blood cancer.
The most severe self-devaluation. I can't do anything at all, I'm just not worthy.
And the bone marrow edema.
Edema, this is the healing phase. It's just that when relapses have already begun, edema remains and an active phase happens again. In our body, everything is healing with swelling and inflammation.
I know, I already remember that.
Yes, more questions?
If, let's say, there is a perfect situation that will defeat all diseases, on the contrary, this is utopia, isn't it? To aspire to this.
Well, there will be no utopia, that's why it's called utopia, because it won't happen.
Well then, how can we use everything you're saying here?
You cannot.
Well, stress is useful for us. I mean, maybe there is no need to resolve it.
For you, yes, you won't be able to use everything. What will you do then? There is no way to use all of this. This is all utopia. What then? What is it for you if this cannot be used? What is this for you?
Absence of self-development.
Where else are you not improving yourself?
Well, I'm doing it a lot.
A lot?
Improving myself.
Improving yourself. Why are you doing that?
Well, probably this is also a moment of self-devaluation.
Self-devaluation, withdrawal. I hear it in your questions. I'm not sure if others hear it as well, but that's why I'm asking you this. What then? And you reply, develop myself further. Do you hear it yourself? If there is nothing here, I need to move on. You are escaping danger. Carrot dangling in front or carrots in the bag. Do you understand? Either they beat me from behind so that I run away, or something in front of me and I go after it. Well, everyone has their own strategy. Realize, by the way, what your strategy is. That is, what is the reason for your personal development? You do it because things are bad or because things are good. We do something out of good state very rarely. That is, this good state is activated as a result of bad experience.
What about lymphostasis, for example, on the left leg? My mom has it.
Self-devaluation. Either I cannot go where I want to go, or I go where I don't want to be. But the left leg is tied to her mother. It means that there are some situations, inculcations instilled by her mother. You must or you mustn't. And accordingly, now it's manifested as I can or I cannot. Always look at the function of an organ. Hands and legs are always the simplest things to realize.
Mild muscle spasm between the left shoulder blade and spine. Spasm.
For the left-handed people, yes, accordingly, the other way around. I'm a bad son, or I'm a bad father, or I'm a bad mother. It's simple. If there's a mild spasm, then it's still not so bad. Now, the intensity. As you age, you'll start to wind yourself up even more and the intensity will increase. Why do they say that after 30 years old, all the diseases crawl out? Because we begin to become more conscious. We start to realize everything that happened and everything that we did, but we don't do anything about it. Well, why do we need a psychologist? We're cool anyway. I know everything about myself. What do I need a psychologist for? Most of you think this way, don't you? A psychologist, this is not a doctor. A psychologist, this is about something else. This is about self-development.
Being overweight, is this also psychosomatics?
Yes, this is the second tissue. The body protects itself. This also refers to the dermis. The body is defending itself. If I'm bigger, I'm safer. Why do men have a belly fat? Well, if he's a businessman, he wants to accumulate something. Therefore, his belly grows like that.
Is this a healing phase?
Healing is when the fat begins to go away. The fat breakdown happens.
And if according to medical indicators I'm healthy now?
Yes, but your voice is trembling.
There were two serious situations.
Well, we can see, yes, we can see the fear of tumor.
Well, it's possible to resolve this situation, isn't it?
It's not only possible, but it's also necessary. Resolve it by all means. You can hear how your voice is trembling. Now, first of all, you have a fear of oncology. Today, I'll try to remove the fear of oncology from everyone, okay? Because we always remove it. If I work with the clients with an oncology diagnosis, I always remove the fear of chemotherapy, fear of illness, fear of the future. There is everything, absolutely everything. Can I have more water, please? Yeah, thank you.
There was a question about cholesterol. What about low level of cholesterol?
An active phase. Low level means there's active phase. In fact, there are not just 2 phases, but actually 5. I just don't tell you about them all, or otherwise you just get confused. There is also a scarification phase. Cholesterol can be lowered in that phase. You don't need this. If it happens to you, for example, if you checked it twice a year and there was some kind of a situation, it means that it works like that in your head. What's the use of checking cholesterol if you saw that it was the same level a year ago as it is now? So you're still in it. It's simple.
How much do parents influence the physical code after the birth that a person transmits?
We all constantly influence each other. Everything affects everyone. How do you feel now?
Excited.
Yes, and if you could assess your state on a 10-point rating scale, where the 10 is really great and 0 is sadness and misery, how would you grade yourself?
6.
Yes, and now look, Mom is sitting next to you. Mom is near. Just feel it. Just feel it. Is the state changing?
Probably yes.
How many points now?
3.
Well, do you need any further explanation? Is her generic code influenced by her mother?
This is a healthy state, for example.
What is health in general? What are you talking about?
Well, look, you said that when person gets old, his bones become brittle. He says, I'm old. If you are near him, does it affect you or not?
Well, if you have the same strategy, if it's a relative, then most likely you will have the same strategy. But again, we can get a strategy from the mother, but not from a father for some reason. Or the other way around. Part of it from mom and another part from dad. If it triggers uncomfortable feelings in you, then it affects you. If you feel easy and cool, it's just nothing. Look, figuratively speaking, you can divide families into happy and unhappy. Most families are unhappy. I mean, they don't know what happiness is. In the Soviet Union, nobody taught us about happiness. They taught go to work, go to do something for the motherland. And before that, life was even more difficult, even more stressful. There was less stress in terms of quantity, but it was more severe and intense because it was easier to die as a result of hunger, of war, or anything else. Who cared about happiness? In those times, the definition of happiness was if you are dressed, if you have your shoes on, if you had a place to live, you were happy. Where did we get this from? We got that from those times because that's what happiness was for them. Those people had different needs and requests. Their basic needs was home and food. Now our requests are like, let's self-actualize, let's make money. And accordingly, our stresses get fragmented, but in terms of quantity, there are more of them. They're less intense, but their number is increased. That's why they say that there are more diseases. Of course, there will be more of them because the stresses are fragmented. Another question. Over there in the back, someone raised a hand. Yes, you, Snow White.
If all illnesses come from devaluation...
Not all illnesses come from devaluation.
Well, you mentioned a lot.
Musculoskeletal system, lymph, bones.
Pain in the head, for example.
Not in the head, in the neck. We're now talking about one tissue. We're talking about one tissue. Self-devaluation. This relates to the new mesoderm layer. Well, yes, and what is the question?
If this is such a global problem, what to do with it?
Yes, it happens everywhere around the world. You hear it everywhere. You constantly compare yourself with someone. We're taught to compare because we are taught to be the best. And how will I become the best? This can be achieved only if someone else is worse, right? And how else will I know that I'm the best? On a desert island, I am the best, right? Or not? You go to a psychologist. Get rid of this thing completely. Why would I compare myself with anyone? I don't need to compare myself with anyone. I am self-sufficient. Yes, I'm like this. Yes, I'm not good at this or that. Yes, okay, that's the way I am. I'm just saying yes to all of this. Of course, this is not done as easily or simply as I'm telling you now, because it's not easy to realize. Most of your reactions, and this is what we began the seminar with, are automatic. Our thoughts are automatic. Your thoughts are automatically triggered by feelings, and you won't even be able to realize them. Teach yourself to be aware in the moment. First of all, the instrument of breathing. Observe whenever you're not breathing. Right now, half of the audience is not breathing here. Although you are more relaxed and you've begun to breathe deeper. Breathe, and you'll begin to be more aware, to be more in the moment. When you don't breathe, you feel stressed. But there is one process that we can control in our body, and that's breathing. So control it. Catch yourself in the moments where you don't breathe and start breathing. And you'll start realizing what you're thinking about because you are explaining to the body, I am not scared. And if I'm breathing, it means that there is no danger. And your conscious thinking will be switched back on. Unconscious thinking, it is automatic. Automatic process is stress. Just everything just goes in a circle. Okay, so let's have a little break now and we'll continue very soon.